The hospital was cold. The walls were white, too white. The air smelled of bleach and medicine. Machines beeped in steady rhythms. Each sound cut into me like a blade. I sat beside the small bed. My son, Liam, lay there. He was only 6. Too young to know this much pain. His skin was pale, almost gray. His lips trembled with every breath. He clutched his blanket as though it could protect him. The doctor's voice broke through the silence. His words were calm, too calm. "Mrs. Carter, your son's condition is serious. He needs immediate treatment." My heart stopped. I blinked at him, my throat dry. "What do you mean serious?" I wanted him to say it was nothing. That it was a flu. That my boy just needed rest. But his eyes were grave. His expression didn't change. "It's his lungs," he said. "They're very weak. The infection spread quickly. If we delay, it could get worse." I looked down at Liam. His small chest rose and fell unevenly. Each breath sounded like a struggle. I wanted to cry, but I couldn't. I had to be strong for him. I reached out and touched his hand. It was cold, so small in mine. "Mommy," he whispered. His voice was weak, barely there. "I don't feel good." I kissed his forehead. "It's okay, baby. Mommy's here. You're going to be fine." But inside, I was breaking. The doctor gave me papers to sign. Consent for treatment. Numbers, bills, costs, it blurred before my eyes. All I could see was Liam's face. Still, I signed. I would do anything to save him. When the doctor left, I grabbed my phone. My hands were shaking. I knew I had to call Daniel. He was Liam's father. He had to be here. Daniel Carter. My husband. My love. The man I thought would stand beside me forever. But Daniel wasn't just a husband. He was a star. A famous actor. His face was on magazines. His name was on billboards. Girls screamed when they saw him. The world loved him. But sometimes, I wondered if he still loved us. I dialed his number. My heart pounded as it rang. He answered on the 3rd ring. His voice was cheerful, smooth. "Hey, babe. Can't talk long. I'm about to step on the red carpet." I froze. "Daniel, it's Liam." My voice cracked. "He's in the hospital. The doctor said it's serious. You need to come now." There was silence. Then a sigh. "I'll try," he said. "But the cameras are everywhere tonight. It's a big premiere." I pressed the phone harder against my ear. "He's your son," I whispered fiercely. "He needs you. Not the cameras. Not the red carpet. You." Daniel hesitated. Finally, he said, "I'll come later." And then he hung up. The screen went black. I stared at it, numb. My hands trembled so much I almost dropped the phone. "Later." He said later. I looked at Liam again. His chest rose and fell with effort. His little face was damp with sweat. He whimpered softly in his sleep. Tears spilled down my cheeks. I brushed them away quickly. I couldn't let him see me cry. I had to be his strength. But inside, I felt like glass. Fragile. Cracked. Ready to shatter. I whispered to Liam. "Don't worry, baby. Mommy will stay. Mommy will fight. Even if Daddy doesn't come, I'll be here." His tiny fingers curled around mine. That simple touch gave me courage. But deep inside, a storm was rising. I loved Daniel. But at that moment, I realized something. Love meant nothing without presence. Without sacrifice. And he was already failing us. The machines beeped. The night grew darker. The hallway outside was quiet. And I sat there, holding my son's hand, waiting for a husband who might never come. The next morning came too fast. I had barely slept. Every time Liam coughed, my heart jumped. I held his hand all night. The doctor returned early. His face was serious again. "Mrs. Carter, we need to transfer him to the special ward. More tests, more care." I nodded quickly. "Do whatever you need. Please, just save him." As they wheeled Liam's bed down the hallway, I followed. Every step felt heavy. Every second was fear. Then I heard it. A clicking sound. Sharp. Constant. Like rain but louder. I turned my head. Flash. Another flash. Bright lights in the hallway. Paparazzi. They were here. Cameras pointed at us. Men shouting questions. Voices echoing through the hospital walls. Is it true Daniel Carter's son is sick? Where's the star husband now? Why isn't he here for his wife and child? My chest tightened. I pulled the blanket higher over Liam's face. He didn't need to see this. He didn't need strangers turning his pain into a headline. "Please," I shouted. "Stop. This is a hospital. My son is sick." But the flashes didn't stop. The voices grew louder. Nurses tried to push them back. Security came running. But the damage was already done. I felt exposed. Naked in my pain. The whole world watching as I tried to protect my child. In that moment, I realized the truth. Daniel hadn't come because of this. Because he was scared of the cameras. Because his image was more important than his family. I wanted to scream. I wanted to rip the cameras from their hands. But instead, I held Liam tighter. And whispered. "It's okay, baby. Mommy's got you. They can't hurt us." But deep down, I wasn't sure if that was true. Hours passed. Doctors worked. Machines beeped. I stayed by Liam's side, refusing to leave. Then, my phone buzzed. It was Daniel. Finally. I answered quickly. "Where are you? Liam keeps asking for you." His voice was calm, smooth, almost rehearsed. "Listen, babe, I saw the news. Paparazzi are everywhere at the hospital. It's chaos." I clenched my fist. "Of course it's chaos. They're after you. But Liam doesn't care about cameras. He cares about you." Silence. Then his sigh. "You don't understand. If they see me there, they'll twist the story. They'll make it bigger. They'll turn his illness into my scandal." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Daniel, your son could die. And you're worried about headlines?" He lowered his voice. "Please, just handle it for now. I'll issue a statement. The fans need reassurance." A statement. Fans. Reassurance. Those words felt like knives. This wasn't about fans. This wasn't about a career. This was about family. My voice shook with anger. "Do you know what Liam whispered to me last night? He asked if Daddy still loved him. What should I tell him, Daniel? Should I tell him his father chose the cameras instead?" Daniel didn't reply. The silence was louder than his words. Finally, he muttered, "I'll call you later." And hung up. I stared at the phone in my hand. Tears blurred my vision. The man I married. The man who once held me when I cried. Now cared more about strangers' opinions than his son's life. I turned to Liam. He stirred in his sleep, his little face pale. I brushed his hair back gently. And made a silent promise. "Even if your father won't fight for you, I will. Even if I have to face the whole world alone, I'll protect you." The flashes outside the hospital window grew brighter. The storm of the media was rising. But so was the storm inside my heart. The next morning, I woke up in the hospital chair. My neck ached. My back hurt. But Liam's weak breathing kept me awake inside. The nurse checked his vitals. Her face was calm, but her eyes showed concern. "He needs his father too," she whispered. I nodded silently. My phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't Daniel. It was a notification. News alerts. Headlines. All about us. I opened one. And my stomach dropped. Daniel Carter seen smiling at after party while son battles illness. Where is the star husband? Wife faces paparazzi alone. My hands trembled. The world already knew. And they judged. Not me. Not Liam. But him. The comments burned my eyes. Terrible father. Why marry if you can't protect your family? Poor child. He deserves better. I wanted to throw the phone away. But the truth was, they were right. They saw what I saw. A man who ran from responsibility. That afternoon, Daniel finally texted. "Don't believe everything online. I'll fix this. Just stay calm." Stay calm? How could I? The world was talking. The cameras were hunting. And Liam's fever kept rising. I typed back quickly. "No, Daniel. Don't fix your image. Fix your family. Come here. He needs you." I watched the screen. 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. He didn't answer. That silence was louder than any scream. And I knew. He wasn't coming. By evening, I had reached my limit. The flashes outside hadn't stopped. Reporters camped near the hospital doors. Nurses tried to sneak us around. But somehow, they always found us. I wanted to break. To cry. To collapse on the floor. But Liam looked up at me with his tired eyes. "Mommy?" "Yes, baby?" "Daddy will come, right?" My throat closed. I forced a smile. "Of course, sweetheart. Daddy loves you." But deep inside, a voice screamed. "He won't come. He already chose himself." That night, I stood by the hospital window. I looked at the city lights. And for the first time I admitted the truth to myself. My husband was gone. Not in body, but in heart. The fame had eaten him alive. And it had stolen him from us. Tears spilled down my cheeks. But as they fell, something else grew inside me. Strength. If Daniel wouldn't fight, I would. If Daniel wouldn't stand in front of cameras, I would. If Daniel abandoned us, I would never abandon Liam. I pressed my hand to the window glass. The city flashed back at me. And I whispered to myself. You're not just his wife anymore. You're his shield. His protector. His only safe place. In that moment, I broke. But I also rebuilt. Piece by piece. Pain into strength. Tears into fire. Because a mother's love is stronger than fame. Stronger than fear. Stronger than any star. The next morning, the reporters returned. Their cameras waited like wolves outside the hospital. Every flash felt like a stab. I held Liam's tiny hand as we walked down the hallway. He was too weak to stand. So I carried him. My arms ached, but my heart refused to let go. A nurse stopped me. "Are you sure you want to go out there?" she asked softly. "They're ruthless." I nodded. I was tired of hiding. I was tired of waiting. If Daniel wouldn't protect us, I would. When I stepped outside, the noise exploded. "Mrs. Carter. Where is your husband? Is it true he abandoned you? Why isn't he here for his child?" My knees shook, but I stood tall. I held Liam closer. His head rested against my shoulder. I spoke. Not to defend Daniel, but to defend my son. Please, I said, my voice trembling. Respect his condition. He's just a child. He needs peace, not flashes. Some reporters lowered their cameras. Others didn't. The flashes kept blinding me. But I didn't back down. I walked through them, step by step. Every step was heavy. But every step made me stronger. That night, I watched the news. There it was. My face. My broken smile. My son's pale cheeks. The headline read, "Star's wife faces cameras alone while child fights for life." For the first time, I didn't cry. I just stared at the screen. And I whispered to myself, he left us in the spotlight. But I'll stand here alone. Days passed. Liam grew weaker. The machines beeped endlessly. I lived on coffee, prayers, and hope. Then finally, my phone rang. Daniel. I almost dropped it. My hands trembled as I answered. Daniel? His voice was calm, too calm. I've been busy, love. I'll come soon. Busy? My chest burned. Busy? Your son is fighting for his life. I cried. Where are you, Daniel? Why aren't you here? He sighed. You don't understand the pressure. The media, the contracts. If I leave now, I'll lose everything I worked for. Lose everything? My tears boiled into rage. You've already lost your family, Daniel. Is fame worth more than your son? Silence. I waited. But he didn't answer. I screamed into the phone. Don't come for me. Don't come for the cameras. Come for your child before it's too late. He muttered something. Then the line went dead. I stared at the black screen. My heart sank lower than ever. I felt like I was drowning in betrayal. That night, I sat by Liam's bed. I held his tiny hand and whispered. It's just you and me now, baby. Just us. And deep inside, a wall broke. I finally understood. The man I married was gone. Morning came with chaos. The newspapers screamed. Superstar missing as son battles illness. Abandoned wife faces reporters alone. Everywhere I looked, Daniel's name was dragged through mud. Fans began to ask questions. Why wasn't he there? Why was I alone? I scrolled through social media. Hashtags burned his image. Hashtag absent father. Hashtag heartless star. At first, I felt shame. But slowly, shame turned to power. The truth was finally out. One journalist knocked on my door. She spoke gently. Tell us your side. People need to hear you. I hesitated. But when I looked at Liam, I knew. Silence would only protect Daniel, not us. So, I spoke. Not with anger. But with honesty. My son deserves love. Not cameras. Not excuses. Just his father. The article spread like fire. Suddenly, I wasn't invisible anymore. I wasn't just the wife. I was a mother fighting for her child. And for the first time, the world saw me. One night, the hospital door creaked. I looked up. Daniel stood there. His face was pale. His eyes tired. But his clothes, perfect, polished, camera-ready. Anna, he whispered. I froze. Anger and love battled inside me. You came for him? I asked. Or for the cameras outside? He didn't answer. He just stepped closer to Liam's bed. For a moment, his mask slipped. I saw fear in his eyes. Fear of losing his son. He touched Liam's hand. The boy stirred weakly. Daddy, Liam whispered, half asleep. Tears filled Daniel's eyes. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe he cared. But then he spoke. The press is waiting outside. If they see me here, it'll fix everything. My heart cracked again. He wasn't here for us. He was here for them. I stood up. I grabbed his arm. No. Not this time. If you're here for the cameras, leave. If you're here for your son, then stay. But don't you dare use him again. He looked at me, torn. I could see the battle in his eyes. Fame versus family. Spotlight versus love. And I knew the choice would define us forever. Silence filled the hospital room. The beeping machines were louder than our breathing. Daniel stood frozen, his hand still hovering over Liam. I waited. I prayed he would choose right this time. But then, his phone buzzed. A manager's call. A headline waiting. A chance to save his career. He stepped back. I'm sorry, Anna, he whispered. I can't lose everything I've worked for. My chest tightened. I realized then, he already had. He had lost us. I walked to the door. My voice was steady, though my heart broke. Go, Daniel. The cameras are waiting. But when the lights go off, you'll still be alone. His face fell, but he didn't stop me. He turned, and I knew his choice. I returned to Liam's side. I held his small hand. He looked up at me with tired eyes. Mom, will Daddy stay? Tears burned my eyes, but I smiled gently. No, sweetheart. But I will. Always. In that moment, I understood. Fame fades. Spotlights dim. But a mother's love is eternal. Weeks later, Liam got stronger. The doctor smiled more often. And me? I walked out of the hospital, not as Daniel's wife, but as Anna. A woman who had faced betrayal, and chosen love over lies. The paparazzi still wrote about him. The star who lost his family. But me? I found freedom. And Liam found peace. Our story was no longer about what Daniel abandoned. It was about what we built. Out of pain, out of truth, out of love. And as I held my son's hand under the open sky, I whispered, we don't need a star, Liam. Because we already have our light. Thank you for watching this emotional love story on the Love Chapter by Ari. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more heart-touching stories. Tell us in the comments which country or place you are watching from. We'd love to know where our family of viewers is growing around the world.